Hello and welcome back to another VideoDust tutorial, and in this one we're going to cover the effect called Pulse. So Pulse, what it does is it produces audio reactive shapes with variable control over audio frequency, resolution, and your size. So on the desktop user interface here in the top left, there is a button here that switches between your live input and a solid color. And that is a great way to use VideoDust as a content generator, which we will cover in another tutorial. So as we move over here in layer 1, we have line size and point size, and those refer to the lines, which is lines, line strip, and line loop, and points. So if I choose points, your point size will control the size of those points, and line size will control the size of the lines. Underneath that, we have your red, green, blue, and alpha. And over here, we have your shape drop down, which allows you to choose which shape you want to use. You have your blend mode, your main amplitude, and your decay. Okay, so now we'll bring some audio in. And this EQ has a drop-down menu which allows you to choose which type of EQ mode. And in the center, you have your Q control, which, as you change these red lines in or out, that controls the amplitude and width of the frequency. And then below the meter here, you have a solo button. So when you choose the solo button, you can actually hear what the EQ is doing. And the other thing to note in EQ is the height of this frequency setting is also an amplitude setting. Okay, so let's go down to the iPad here. And the easiest way to show how the iPad controls work is if we switch on the top left from a live input to our white. And I'm going to add some lines on layer 2. Now if we're going on the iPad, the first one is vertical resolution of the input and horizontal resolution. And if I flip the X and Y, this might be a bit easier to see. The resolution is the resolution of the actual waveform. If I bring that all the way down. And the samples is how much of the audio to use. And the distance, of course, if I move the X and Y back, the distance is here. And there's a reset button to zero that. And then you have a volume slider. And a smear slider. So if I flip the X and Y again, give it a bit more amplitude. And just to note, you have a smear above your RGB in the global setting here. There's two types of smears. There's a normal smear, and then you have a smear luminance, which will smear the brightest elements of the image. Okay, so I've set up a couple presets here. I'll go to my preset 2 and I'll bring in some footage. So this preset 2 is using a circle shape, normal blend mode, and you have render mode of lines on layer 1 and a render mode of points. If I bring that up a little bit closer. And then preset 3 I've set up. This is using quite a low resolution of the waveform. Hence you're getting the squares and rectangular shapes. And that's using a normal flat plane for the shape and an additive mode. So if we change that to sphere, cube, just so you get an idea here, open cube, move the X and Y. As you can see, there's a opening through the center. Go back to plane. And then preset 4, which on the top left, I've switched that from using the live input to a solid white color. And that coloring is done here in your RGB on both layers. So on layer 2, I have the red turned all the way up, and in layer 1, I have RGB all the way up. So if I bring the red all the way down on the line section, as you can see, if I turn the Trigrid render off on layer 2, so now all we can see is the line strip on layer 1, and I can adjust that coloring. And then if you want, you can just bring in a little bit of the red, move the X and Y, add a bit of smear, and that is Pulse. All right, thank you.